So for our scenario, just like the main like bullet points, they were an older client and they were considered underweight. They have osteoporosis, and they also said they are experiencing like balance issues. It wasn't really specific on like what those balance issues were, so I just put that she's been falling over a lot. And she also had problems with our last trainer, and that coworker ended up getting fired. And just some of her goals were just to increase her weight, since right she's considered underweight, and just to improve her balance.
And our general concerns regarding that client involves like the specific population that is like older people. So the first one that we were talking about is like the chronic conditions like diabetes, hypertension, or other diseases that we should be aware of. And other one that she mentioned is like osteoporosis, sarcopenia, and that also correlates with like fall risk and medications she might have. So those are the main ones that we can correlate with the general population. And specific concerns that she mentioned, like she's underweight, she has osteoporosis, and she has like a lack of balance, and she has really high expectations in the quality of the care that she's going to provide. So we need to be aware of that to prevent having like another trouble with another employee. And the fitness assessments that we're going to perform on her, we're going to have first of all some strength assessments like MRST, like resistance training also. For balance, we chose the balance excursion simple extents. And for body composition, we decided we can have like the caliper to do with the skin fold up. And for mobility assessment, we were thinking about some static and like some gait to assess like our quality of movement and for like static and dynamic posture.
So what we were kind of thinking was, right, since she is for like resistance training wise, 2 to 3 times a week would be good for like an older client. Balance training, as well as like low impact cardio. So we have this kind of like progression that we put. So if she couldn't really produce like great results with like weight bearing cardio activities, we could have her train in like a pool. Then if she's good with that, then move her on to cycling, and then if that's okay, then move her on to walking for that weight bearing. Intensity for like resistance training, 40 to 60% per 1 rep max. Focusing like a full body, not just solely a specific thing. And progress is needed going from machines to free weights as she gets comfortable. So duration like 45 to 60 minutes, 2 to 3 times a week for RT, 40 to 60% for 1 RM, and for RT and balance. And for balance, we could have her stand on like a Bosu ball, foam roller, add any like external perturbations to make it more challenging.
Yeah, and like you said, Professor Peterson, about like Leo and Axel, can go back one time? If you think about like the same way they were talking about their EX or X, I think ours is a little bit confusing because it's like very blended with many topics. So if we had the chance to redo the slide, I would like.
Yeah, that's why that medication analogy in my mind is great, because you don't want people just taking pills at random times because they just feel like it. It's confusing. So you want.
So we would do like one specific for resistance training, for balance, and for cardio. We can go. And regarding the systematic approach, we would like keep in mind her high expectations to provide a good quality care for her. Also educate and explain like each fitness assessment that we're going to perform on her and how she can benefit from that and how we can keep track of her improvement. And also like to set expectations to achieve her goals. And discuss understand what we're doing and why we're doing to achieve our goals.
And for a follow-up, we would reassess, right, her strength and balance every like 4 to 6 weeks. We would implement a progressive overload style to make sure, right, that the exercises don't become too easy and that she's doing the same thing. We would keep up like with her mental state and how she's feeling about the program, right? If things are too hard, then we dial it back a bit. Right, for like a long-term, we would discuss like a long-term plan, discuss like fitness habits that she can take, and potentially, right, if she did want to train, right, without like a trainer, right, we would discuss that when she is like comfortable enough, she can do that. And then, right, adjust the EXRX so she's not doing the same things all the time, and just keep educating her with each phase of training why what we're doing is important for her goals.
Class first, what do you got?
How old was your client?
Huh?
How old was your?
It didn't say, but it just said they were old.
So they had osteoporosis.
Did it say
Yeah,
they were
they
older?
did. It did say that. Yeah.
Older or?
Yeah, it didn't really. I guess like
Above 65.
70.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
We're gonna say there's 70.
Okay.
I think your fit VIP was not very organized.
Obviously, we literally said that.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you go to your EXRX real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that.
Give more specific feedback, Leo.
Yeah.
They just put it on spot, that's fine.
I was just gonna ask about the free weights, but I mean, you said progressive machines, free weights, I feel like that would make sense.
Yeah, just because, right, she has that problem with falling. So, right, put her on like some machines where she, right, wouldn't have to have, like, use that aspect. And then once she gets comfortable enough, right, progress her to free weights and standing and see how that goes.
Can you go to your sustainable coach?
Did you say ex-school, are you leaving her previous trainer or?
Yeah, so she started working with us because she wasn't seeing like great results or like a quality of care with that coworker, and they actually ended up getting fired. So then she got put with us.
So not getting as good of results, was that part of your subjective questioning that you found out?
It was on the
Was
scenario. It was.
Quality of care, for
Yeah,
sure was on there,
she's,
but you might need to make her define what that means,
I guess.
right? Because maybe she got great results, but there was another reason that she ended up switching.
I guess we shouldn't assume, but like we thought it was bad because that worker ended up getting fired.
Mhm.
So like it had to be like a big
Yeah, she
issue.
decided to come to us because she saw that you're more like attentive to the other clients.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, so those are the two things, I was just, piggybacking off what she was saying about, that's a good subjective question to ask, right? Like, what is quality of care, what is she expecting? To not repeat the same mistakes that the previous person did, with her. This was actually a client of mine. And so asking that question, she was like, well, he just talked to me like I was cognitively declined. Like, okay, Betty, because she was old. And like old equals them, they're talking to her in that way. And she's like, I'm a retired physician. Like, okay, yeah, you know. So she doesn't like that. So my point is there's different reasons why people are with you, but just make sure that a lot of times, and I'm not saying that you guys do this, but sometimes people see age and they talk to somebody like that, or sometimes they see, oh, a physician, she must know a lot. Well, strength and conditioning is not her thing, right? So, just making sure that we don't make the assumption we have some of the objective questions is a good idea. Anybody else before I say the last sentence? Okay, I'll try to make myself quick. But very similar to what you've already addressed, except let's be a little bit more specific. So let's go back to your assessments. Okay, so with your assessment plan, what's one that's one overarching assessment that's extremely important based off of her saying that she's underweight and wants to gain weight.
Body count?
Yeah, you didn't do body comp, right?
Well, we put it on there, but like,
Did
I
you?
guess, yeah.
I don't see it in assessments, so that's where I got, oh, good job. You know what?
I guess
Now
we
that I
should
think
have,
about it, did you say what kind of body comp you were gonna do?
we said calipers, but
Yeah,
I would
that's what I was
also,
gonna say.
I would also say like, what would be a better thing was like an in-body or.
I
a
think
body-
pinch
right,
test,
yeah.
this is just my opinion, is because it's the biggest, element of error, I would ask her how she knows she's underweight, right? Cause maybe her physician or maybe herself, she knows other tests, maybe she's doing BMI tracking or whatever it is. See what information she already has, but it's less reliable, than in-body or anything else. So as long as she doesn't have a pacemaker, I would definitely make her track that, and reassess, because that's the only way we can kind of let her know that she's improving. But also with your address, just like the obese client, make sure that you don't just skip past nutrition. If you're adding in exercise, you're adding in
Yeah.
caloric expenditure, you need to say that there has to be some surplus of caloric intake in order to gain good weight. So, referring to would be a good idea.
Okay.
And then cardio. We don't have cardio assessment, but we have that in our prescription,
Okay.
right? So I think
Yeah.
that is important,
Okay.
but gotta make sure that's in there. And then I don't know if you said anything about, I know flexibility also is in there for assessments. And then the same thing for coordination and proprioception. If somebody is a fear of falling, right, or has poor balance, you wanna make sure you're testing for, coordination ability. And then I will give the rest of my feedback while I walk up, so we don't go over time.